most admirable chasers you could possibly wish to see.
Welcome to the Racehour podcast in association with Bet365, the home of the position payout. This is Not Long Now, the show where we take an antepost look at the Cheltenham Festival, which is just under 2 months away. I'm Rory Jiwani. With me are racing broadcaster Ed Quigley, the man the odds are afraid of, Gary Connolly, and Bet365 racing PR legend Pat Cooney. This week, we're looking at the 3 big all-age chases at the festival in chronological order. So we're going to start with a look at the Champion Chase, the Queen Mother Champion Chase on the Wednesday. That's on the old course at Cheltenham, of course. And it's over to Pat for the latest odds from Bet365.
Well, it's been quite lively, actually, Rory, in the last week or so. Il Était Temps was our favourite fortnight ago, but after a bullish update from trainer Barry Connell, Marine Nationale is now heads the market, and then the enigmatic Majborough is there at 7, and it's 14-1 bar, really. Loda Sud, who I suppose has got Cheltenham form and would have some sort of a chance, is there as well. But if you like Cheltenham form, I think it's quite telling, really, because Il Était Temps is 0 from 3 round Cheltenham. Marine Nationale, of course, is 2 from 2. So I don't know. This version of Il Était Temps we've seen his last 3 runs is much better than those times he was there for those 3 races. But nevertheless, it is a stat to pay attention to. And Marine Nationale is our favourite for the race, of course. Il Était Temps runs on Saturday at Ascot. But I'm not sure how much he's going to shorten, because if he does win, he'll have beaten John Bond for the 3rd time in a row. And everyone will say, well, we know that already. So I think Marine Nationale is on pace to be favourite for the race. Perhaps a lively outside, I don't know, will be Thistleask, the real surprise story of the season for the Skeltons. He runs on Saturday at Ascot. His best form is on right-handed tracks, though. He did win one of our sponsored races at Wetherby going left, but he did jump to the right several times. But were he to run ever so well on Saturday, Connections, I presume, will have to throw their hat into the ring. So he might be a lively outsider. But I think the market's now got it right. I think Marine Nationale is the favourite, particularly with that Cheltenham course form.
Thanks, Pat. Well, according to the bookies, this is a 2-horse race. We mentioned reigning champion Marine Nationale. Close second to Solness at Leopardstown over Christmas. First run of the season. Shane Flanagan somehow staying on board after a mistake at the second flight. And mentioned Il Était Temps, winner of the Tingle Creek. 7-1 bar those. That is Majborough, of course. Would you fancy Majborough with his jumping? Gary, is it a 2-horse race?
I think it's a 1-horse race, and I think the market is wrong. Il Temps should be favourite here. I don't like Barry Connell. He talks up as the stable dog if he can. They're all superstars, so I wouldn't put much credence in what he says, to be honest. You can crab his Cheltenham form, but he looks a totally different horse now. Like his Sandown runs have been unbelievable. He looks the best 2 mile to me. The numbers back it up. Marine Nationale, I just think there's a hole in that horse. Like he's soft. He needs, if it's soft ground, I wouldn't have him in a battle or anything like that. I don't know if it was a done deal when Quigley came down last year. I thought he might have outbattled him up the hill. I'm not a fan of the horse. Like you can't knock his Cheltenham record, but I wouldn't be mad keen on him, especially at the price. I don't think he should be faff. Marlborough, I love the horse, but he jumps like a snooker table for whatever reason these days. But if one man can get him right again, it's Willie. One at a price that I think looks too big is Loda Sud, especially if he goes straight to Cheltenham. Looks like he needs to be kept fresh. Good jumper, and he just looks a bit too big at 14s. And then the rest, forget about it. No chance.
Yeah, a few raised eyebrows at your analysis there, Gary, from myself and from Ed. Ed, do you think Marine Nationale should be favourite?
I do, on balance, yeah. I think Gary's made a very cogent case, and I think both gentlemen have summed up very well. But the facts are, there's 2 strands of facts, aren't there? One is, as Gary points out, Il Était Temps has improved exactly a stone in the last 20 months. So you can't argue the fact the horse is on a massive upward trajectory. The other fact is 3 of the 4 worst performances officially have come at Cheltenham from Millet. He's been 5th, never cited in a triumph. Barry Connell is right. He does talk up his horses. I thought the quote the other day was brilliant, saying, when we met that Ilete Tomp fella, he was beaten the length of the home straight. Well, it was 9 lengths, but yes, Marine National did beat him in the Supreme. But again, Ilete Tomp didn't jump well, never in it. And then in the Arkle, which course the same course of distance, Ilete Tomp was beaten just under 14 lengths by Gaelic Warrior. Didn't jump well, never really got into it. So you can't get away from the fact he hasn't delivered at Prestbury Park. That aside, he has absolutely blossomed as an 8-year-old, which makes it a very tricky conundrum. And as going back to Pat's original point, we're probably not going to learn a great deal more in the Clarence House if Ilete Tomp beats John Bon 8 lengths. Well, yeah, all right, he's one right-handed beating John Bon again. So I'm slightly torn. I think Marine National Balance should be the right favourite because the 2 best performances of his career have come at the Cheltenham Festival. And it's all about one day for him, isn't it? And you've got to say, his run over Christmas, all things considered, in a race of absolute carnage where he's nearly out of the race in the early portion of it, wasn't he? And he's managed to kind of get himself coaxed back into contention. I thought it was a very clever ride. And he's run much better this time round than in the corresponding race 12 months ago. So it's all about building to one day Marine National. It's tricky. I think Marine National is the right favourite. Ilete Tomp, until proven otherwise, I would swerve at Cheltenham. But I agree with Gary in the sense I think Low Desert is I'm going to call him sleeping giant. But at 14-1, there's no way on a month of 8 days a week he's not starting 14-1. This will be a 6-7 runner race on the day. It will start 6s. He is going straight there. Dan Scout has confirmed that. They thought that was to his detriment last season when they ran him in the Kingmaker at 1-5. I think Connections thought we'll just lollop round and it'd be a tune-up. And it kind of almost backfired. He got in a really hard grueler 4 weeks before the Arkle. And I think that just took the edge off him a little bit. Going there fresh. He's a strong traveller. Coming down to turning into the home straight, nothing would be going better. And then it'd be a case of let the hill decide the fate type thing. So, yeah, I think Low Desert's the bet at the prices. Between the top 2, happy to sit them both out, really. It sounds like Marine National is going on to the DRF as per last year and have a rematch with Solness. And so Low Desert for me. There was one I was going to throw in very quickly. It's from that, which was actually my nap, and it went west. That was Only by Night of Gavin Cromwell, who obviously got absolutely bolted sideways by Marine National and was more or less knocked out of the race at the second fence. Now, see, Gavin Cromwell's comments afterwards were slightly cryptic, but he did say they are now probably looking more at the Mayor's Chase than the 2-miler. Quote, unless the ground came up soft, and obviously he split Majborough, ended ahead of Low Desert, and we only had Django Bay ahead of her in the Arkle last year. So basically, it is still in Gavin Cromwell's head that she could return to a novice form. She's had Majborough and Low Desert behind her and only found Django Bay too good over what will be the same C&D as the Champion Chase. So I'd imagine if we got a softer, heavy ground festival, they may U-turn and stick it to 2 miles. Because no doubt on last year's running, she's in the mix and obviously should get a mare's allowance. But yeah, at the prices currently, knowing that he's going straight there and he's got a great record fresh, I do think Low Desert, he will start at least half the price. 14-1 will be mythology come the day.
Yeah, Pat, have you seen any money for any of the outsiders in the last week or two?
Low Desert is getting that each-way support, particularly with the Skeltons going so well. You get to the Cheltenham Festival, you'd be hard-pushed to say any Skelton horse is going to be a double-figure price. So he might just be the each-way angle. So, he's on pace to turn up for the race. So, as Ed says, he's just going to be the one that's going to continue to shorten up from his current price.
So that's the Queen Mother Champion Chase. We're going to move on to the Ryanair Chase on the Thursday, 2 miles and 5 furlongs on the new course. Fact to File is the defending champion and favourite to retain his crown. A little disclaimer here. As soon as he won the Ryanair Chase, I had a bet on him for the Gold Cup. following year. So I'm not going to get a run for my money. I thought he could have gone round again, but yeah, connections look like they're going to stick to the Ryanair. Pat, over to you for the odds.
Well, this is a strange one with Factify. Like you, we all crowned him as the next big thing a year ago, but he's favourite on the back of disappointing in the King George at Kempton. I think principally the reason why he shortened for this Ryanair is it's his only entry at the meeting. He's not. We had him thinking, well, he's bound to be in the Gold Cup as well, just in case. So it was somewhat of a surprise when he wasn't in the Gold Cup entries. I know there's a supplementary stage later on down the line, but it certainly suggests that this is going to be his only target. And if that is the case, you look at the second, third, and fourth in the market: Gaelic Warrior, Django By, Milesborough. You'd presume they're going to be going elsewhere, either up in trip or down in trip. Then throw in the likes of Banbridge. Well, is he going to run at Cheltenham at all? Would you more likely to have a crack in the Gold Cup? So it's very much against the runner for the Ryanair, and you've no doubt at all that Factifile is going to turn up. And if the others do miss the gig, he's just going to shorten and shorten in the market. But it is bizarre. He didn't run at all well at Kempton, yet he's continued to be the hot horse for the race. But I think it's punters just, as I say, that's going to run. I want to be on at the moment.
Yeah, what price is Factifile? Is he 15?
He's around about 15 to 8, and then it's 7 to 1 bar. Of course, Gaelic Warrior would look very interesting at 7 to 1, but it's that old thing, isn't it? What would you rather win, a Ryanair or have a crack at the Gold Cup? And I think he'll be Gold Cup aspirations. One that might be of interest is our old pal John Bon. If he does get beaten yet again at Ascot on Saturday over the 2 miles, will they roll the dice and say, well, we'll have a crack at the Ryanair? But that would mean him and JP have got 2 runners in the race. I know it does happen, but maybe John Bon, we just let him take care of himself and not worry about him. But as I say, it's all one-way traffic, Factifile. But you do have to give him a pass for that Kempton run, though.
Yeah. I mean, Ed, he's the horse to beat.
He is last year's Reading. Yeah, I mean, it was Allaho Part 2, wasn't it? I mean, absolutely took them to the cleaners. It was a phenomenal performance. It really was. If he turns up in that form, he just wins, doesn't he? I mean, that's kind of the end of the story. What you've got to factor in is a dismal King George running. He was tailed off at Cheltenham Festival, albeit they experimented with 2 miles at the end of a hard season, so you can forgive that. I mean, the King George run was really flat, and that was kind of the line they've come out with. They think perhaps the John Durkan ding-dong first time out for the season against Gaelic Warrior left a mark more on Factifile than it did Gaelic Warrior, and he just couldn't back it up a month later. But it's a slight worry, isn't it? That, it's just in the back of your mind, if he's going off 5 to 4 even money or something crackers like that, is his season just been left behind? Look, on balance, he's got to be favourite, and it's the only race he's going to run in, isn't it? It's not like, as Pat says, they're going to suddenly do a late switch. He will be running here. And the 2 are running here are last year's 1-2, because Hartwood's going to run in it as well, by the sounds of things. So they're the 2 you can book in. The rest of them, again, as Pat says, this is an absolute Rubik's Cube, isn't it? This really is. It's not inconceivable that, 9 out of the 10 horses beyond Factifile don't make the gig here. And that's not an exaggeration. Banbridge can miss the festival altogether or go for the Gold Cup again. Romeo Coolio's a novice, and I think he's 8th in the betting. Jukebox Man's going for the Gold Cup, etc., etc., etc. You start going down it. Normally, we say the Ryanair gets criticism from detracting from the Gold Cup and the Champion Chase, but I actually think it's the other way this year. Everyone's going to be having a crack at the Gold Cup because it looks so wide open, and a lot of people getting that feeling about the Champion Chase. So we could end up with a smallish field in the Ryanair. I've got no overall strong view. I just think there's a couple of lurkers who I could see shortening up. One of those is Matata, who absolutely hacked up when stepping up to 2.5 miles over the Ryanair course and distance on the New Year's Day meeting. Now, that was in a handicap. It was off 154. Yeah. Absolutely annihilated Il Rodotto et al. He's up to 160 now, so he's not far off the level needed to be getting competitive. Connections are going to make a late call on whether he runs in the Fleur de Lis chase at Windsor over the weekend. Willie Twiston Davis said there's going to be a discussion. Potentially, they will just go straight to the Ryanair. He's 33 to 1. I could see him being a horse who's more than capable of getting involved from the place perspectives, or if something went west with Factifile. He's thoroughly unexposed at that trip. The other is Ben Pauling's horse here, Handstands. who's actually he's 50-1, I believe. Now he's due to run in the Fleur de Lis Chase against Protectorat. If he were to turn over Protectorat, then suddenly it will make life interesting for the pooling team, because they have suggested they're going to be two-handed in the Gold Cup with the jukebox man and handstands. But I just wonder, if it gets nearer the time, if he wins over 2 mile 6 at the weekend, nearer it gets, they think, well, we've already got the jukebox man for the Gold Cup. This Ryanair's cutting up to 5-6 runners. I wonder if they would let handstands then perhaps go the intermediate route. So they're just a couple of bigger prices who've got potential targets ahead, where if they did go win them, you could see them shortening up massively. Whereas, again, Pat says, I think there's a lot of horses in here who, no matter what they do, probably won't end up running in the race regardless. So it's a really tricky race to sum up. You've got a favourite whose best form is superb. Can he bring his best form to the table? And do I want to get involved 2 months before at 15-8? On balance, it's no. So I'm, as Duncan Bannatyne used to say on Dragon's Den, I'm out. I'm just going to sit on the fence with this one and let it all unfold.
Yeah, Gary, I mean, is Factifile a good thing here, or are you looking to take him on?
He is the right favourite now, but he's plenty skinny at 15-8, isn't he? Like, I'd probably forgive that King George run. I was in Punchestown after the John Durkin, and he looked shattered coming in. His head was between his legs in the parade ring after the race, so it was a real tough race, and he did run flat. So I'd probably forgive him for that. If he turns up in the same sort of form last year, like 15-8 could look a silly price, but this far out, I wouldn't like to get involved. I actually think Gaelic Warrior is going to end up here, to be honest. Like, if Galloping the Shams wins at the DRF, you'd imagine Townend's going to stay loyal to him. Of all the owners, Richie's probably, he listens to that stable, that jockey, more so than other owners. Was JP, it wouldn't be a question, but it could be rerouted Gaelic Warrior here. I think this is the type of test he love. I don't think he'll get home in a Gold Cup. That'd be my main concern with him, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if he ends up here and he can get 8-1 on him. Like, he's gonna go off. He'll go off 5 if he gets rerouted here, and I think there's a big chance he will. And then you're just playing a guessing game of, well, you're guessing with him, but everything else, like John Bond, Marsborough coming up and trip. I think this race will suit both. If connections go this route, they have the favourite, so I don't know if that's likely. I'd love to see Romeo Coolio, the owners, roll the dice. I think they could. They are gamblers, and I wouldn't be totally shocked if the novice went here. And one of the price that caught my eye was Gidley Park, 33-1. If he steps up and trip, I think there's a big run in him if he comes here instead of the Champion Chase. But Factifile, right favourite at the moment, just a bit too short to get involved this far out for me as well.
So that's the Ryanair Chase, one to come, and it's the big one. It's the Cheltenham Gold Cup, the highlights on the Friday. 3 miles, 2 furlongs, the ultimate test. And wide open, as you guys have alluded to earlier. An almighty scrap in the King George. We had a shock in the Savills Chase. Pat, let's have the latest odds from Bet365.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. There's 33 still in the race. So hopefully we'll get, 15, 16 runners. And you'd love to think we'd be first 4 places on the race. And I think that's a real possibility. So I will say to anyone, wait till the day, unless you want to back one at a fancy price. At the top of the market is Galloping the Champ. He's just favourite, 11-2. I know your way of thinking is at 6, and then they're all tightly packed at 7s, 8s, and 10s. But with Galloping, if the race was run tomorrow, I'm sure he'd be favourite. Of course, he's got to come out and do it again. I thought he ran okay on his comeback run. That won't be much consolation to those who made him 5-4 on the day, but I thought it was perfectly acceptable. And he's normally vulnerable first time out and his final run of the season. So he's still very much in business for me. As for the those that ran in the King George, I wouldn't know which were those that had come out the best. It was such a narrow finish. I'd have to pass on that one. Ones that we are laying, though, are I Am Maximus at 33, and he's a very popular horse. He was actually second in the DRF race at Leopardstown over Christmas, and he's a very popular horse. He was 7-1 to win the National 2 years ago and he was 7-1 last year when he was second. So he's got that public following. Were he to rock up on the day, I don't know if they're going to be waiting for Aintree once again and skip the race altogether, but I'd be interested to see how he goes in the market. And the Welsh national winner, Haiti Calor, that's going to have Sean Bowen aboard. That's 14-1. Whether he can make all and keep competitive, I don't know. So it's a real ultra competitive race. I'm kind of hoping Galopini gets beat again at Leopardstown and we can still be 6-1 the field on the day. That would be really tremendous, because after the National and the Derby, it is the highest turnover race in the calendar. As for, I know the way you're thinking, well, they say don't oppose champions, but I mean, he's just been absolutely dreadful. 2 from 2 this time around. If he suddenly comes back to the March version of last year, I would imagine he'd be the one that would probably win it again. But that's a big leap of faith. He was well beaten last time out. Okay, the first run was 2.5 miles, we'll forgive him that. But I've not seen anything to suggest he should be a single figure price for the Gold Cup at the moment. I might be wrong come March on the day when he scoops up the hill, beating Gallopin again, though.
Yeah, I know the way you're thinking. I'm sure Gary and Ed will have something to say about the defending champion. I mean, we could have spent the whole half hour talking about this race. 11-2 the field in the Cheltenham Gold Cup. I mean, what a time to be alive. What a time to be a bookie. The King George, great finish, but more questions than answers, perhaps. Gary, Galopin de Champ's the favourite. He was only third in the Savills Chase. Should he be favourite?
Yeah, all things considered, I think he should be. Like, that was a good run in the Savills. He usually goes John Durkin before he runs there, so I think he just blew up. He looked like he was coming to win the race, and then I thought there was nothing wrong with that performance. He'll step up a mile on his next start in the DRF. So yeah, right favourite. Like, he's you can't knock it. 6-1 is a huge price on a horse of his class. The King George race, that forms that worth a fiver. Jesus. That's just a sprint. So I wouldn't even be concerned at that race as a guide to this. The Savills was a good race now. Affordale Fury won, but the way he jumps, I don't think he'll go close at Cheltenham. One that I liked in that race was Monty Starr, staying on in the 5th. If it turns into a proper tear up now, he'll like that sort of test, and he could be one staying on. 66-1 is too big. But I'm going one at a slightly shorter price. I'll take a swing for the fences. I think Lecky Watson's a proper bet for this race now, 50s. I think connectors are minding him to get his national mark, but once that's released, he'll probably be running on his merit. I think if you look at his record when he's allowed the front run, he has an unbelievable record. And it's Cheltenham form, his best bumper run, Cheltenham, best hurdle run, Cheltenham, best jumps run, Cheltenham.
It's like Marie National. Like...
Well, he's not a dog like Marie National. Like, he's not going to be in the main Mullins. Like, I'd be hoping Danny Mullins gets the ride on him, and if he jumps him off in front, like, that 50-1 is just a silly price. Like, bit of sun on his back to Presbury Park, he'll come alive around there, and 50-1 is too big. So he's carrying my cash now. At the moment, he'll carry my cash on the day if he lines up as well.
Yeah, Lecky Watson, of course, won the Brown Advisory last year, so he does have course and distance form. Of course, that was the old course. This is the new course, but it is still Cheltenham. Ed, you were very keen on the jukebox man for the King George, and he rewarded your faith. But Cheltenham Gold Cup's a very different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah. I would entertain him for the. I think his form was worth a bit more than a fiver. How much more, I don't know. But I'd entertain him as a Gold Cup winner, providing we didn't get proper soft ground. He's got too much speed to be. He doesn't want to slog, put it that way. It's probably save a lot of words. If we got a proper soft ground Gold Cup, I actually think Jukebox Man probably be better off in the Ryanair, personally. But anyway, it's mad, isn't it? It's priced up like a ripping handicap. This is phenomenal. Galapan. He's going to be 10. All the stats are against him. But again, as you say, if he can put in a performance to the DRF, his price is only heading south. I know the way you're thinking. I don't know what I'm thinking, to be honest with you. I mean, part of me is still thinking, knowing connections, knowing the horse, it's all about the one day in March. But there is just in the back of my mind, he's just absolutely gone. And that last year's Gold Cup bottomed him, and he's just not what he was. And we're all kind of waiting for him to come flying back to form, and he's not going to come back to form. And as you say, he's barely lifted a leg. That's probably more of the concern. It's not like last time out, he travelled with zest and then kind of got worried out of it, or made a bad mistake and suddenly cut out. Never going. Beaten 2 miles from home. So big worry there. And I do think it is gloriously wide open. I'm slightly more with the home team challenge. I like the Jukebox Man, but I'm not sure he's necessarily a Gold Cup horse. I'd fancy strongly Django Bay to reverse the form at Cheltenham. Again, a horse who's got very good Cheltenham form. He was all stamina to win last year's Arkle, of course, a race we've covered in good depth through the 2 mile division. And he was staying on at the end. Now, I accept Gary's point. It did turn into a bit of a sprint. I actually think that probably played against Django Bay, because when the pace lifted, he just got left behind for a little bit and then was staying on again at the closing stages. They're either going to Trials Day in 10 days' time against Grey Dawning, or they're going to wait for the Denman Chase by the sounds of it. But listening to Nicky Henderson, I know he gave him a Ryanair entry with 3 minutes left before the closers stopped. I think that's just in there as almost tokenism. I think regardless of whether he falls in a hole in the Denman Chase or whatever, he's going to run in the Gold Cup. I think he just looks like a proper out and out stayer now. So I would fancy him at the King George field to come out on top. Whether that's good enough, who knows? And then outside of that, I do like the Lecky Watson angle, given that he is very much horses for courses at the prices. I think Haiti Calor is probably being a bit overlooked here. He's very much more in the kind of native river mould of a horse, isn't he? He's not going to win through sheer speed and class. I mean, he's probably the archetypal opposite of the Jukebox Man. But if we got a soft ground Gold Cup, he'll go off in front and he'll run and he'll gallop, and he loves Cheltenham. And I could still see him being there, coming down the hill at 2 out, and any kind of doubtful stayers, your Jukebox Mans, or if your Gaelic Warriors are gone for this, they're all going to start to crack in behind. So I've got a Haiti Calor and Django Bay versus the field is my view at the moment. But see, the DRF is once and for all going to sort a lot of things out, isn't it? Because it sounds like we've got Affordale Fury, I know the way you're thinking, and Galapan all in a rematch. So someone's going to have to get stuff there again, and they're probably going to be totally out of the picture by the end of the DRF in 3 weeks' time. So really, really fascinating. It's just wonderful to see such a wide open looking field at the moment, isn't it? I was actually going back through previous markets when I've actually covered previous shows or similar shows in previous years. I had a couple of notes, and we were looking at Galapan. We were looking at, is it Might Bite or Native River? There were all kind of 2 or 3 key protagonists, and then is there anything else from left of field? But here, you can make a case for 8 or 9 horses winning the Gold Cup.
Yeah, out of the market leaders, the only one we haven't mentioned is Grey Dawning. As the home team representative, Ed, Grey Dawning,
clearly got a chance. He's going to the Cotswold Chase in 10 days' time. The raw form of his Haydock win isn't sparkling, is it, in terms of what he's beaten, but he did it in very good fashion. He's going to have the run in 10 days' time, providing that all goes to plan. Yeah, he's got to go there with an each-way chance. I think it's that type of season, really. You're not going to fall off your seat in amazement, are you? If Grey Dawning at least places in a Gold Cup, he's won it at the Cheltenham Festival before. Again, you could argue beating Ginny's Destiny and Jello isn't sparkling form, but he has been there and done it at Prestbury Park. And season Dan Skelton's having, you're not going to be shocked if turning into home straight. Grey Dawning's full of running, and he is an excellent jumper as well. That is clearly is kind of his ace in the pack, isn't it? I mean, he was superb the way he jumped at Haydock. So I don't think you can really rule anything in or out. What is the most final point on this is that basically your 2 market leaders are the 2 who aren't winning. As in, Galapan Chomp's 10 and just been beaten, and I know the way you think he's dropped out the back of the television twice, and they're soaking up a huge percentage of the market. That just totally adds to the complexity here. And Galopan on balance against him with his advancing years, but put it this way: if he jumps that last anywhere near the lead, the old proverbial roof will fall off the stand at Prestbury Park in 8 weeks' time.
Certainly will. Pat, have you seen much money in this or anything for any lively outsiders?
Not really. We're, like that. I think people are just thinking, look, it's just a minefield to plod my way through at the moment. No, not even since Christmas. It's just all been pretty quiet. I think we're waiting for things to happen. And as I say, I think given the size of the field on the day, I think punters will be thinking there's bound to be 4 places. It'd be hard to see Galloping de Champ out the first 4, wouldn't it, on the day? That's the one thing I do keep thinking of. But you could make a plausible case for 7, 8 of these, no problem at all. So I think punters are just sitting on the fence. The key to it is, as Ed says, the front 2 in the market. When do the real versions of them turn up? And hopefully it'll be in the trials for any of their backers. But that's no gimme at the moment. So the more the confusing, the better from a bookmaking point of view.
Yeah, just the sort of race you want. And I'm sure we'll see a bit more activity after the DRF, as mentioned. Those are the 3 big chases at the Cheltenham Festival looked at. I'm sure we'll be revisiting them ahead of March. But before we go, we'll have a quick look at the upcoming weekend's action. As mentioned, it's Clarence House Chase Day at Ascot. Il était temps, a warm order. Bet365 sponsor a decent handicap chase featuring some familiar faces from the Paddy Power and December Gold Cups at Cheltenham. We've got the Peter Marsh handicap chase at Haydock. And on Sunday, you've got decent cards at Windsor and Turles. Pat, any money down for the weekend action and anything you're particularly looking forward to?
Yeah, there's an interesting runner, I think, at Haydock in the 2:35 on Saturday, the 3-mile handicap hurdle. It's an interesting run. It's trained by Dan Skelton. Blue Carpet, it's called. And he won a race that our Charlie Hall sponsored meeting. He won the maiden hurdle. And it was a bit of an egg and spoon race. I didn't really take the form seriously. But Tristan Durrell, who rides again on Saturday, rode the winner that day. And I said to him, what do you think of the winner? And he went, oh, yeah, he's crying out for 3 miles. Well, next time he ran at Newbury over 3 miles in a similar standard race to this. And he ran ever so early, finished second. And that was a big leap forward from that Weatherby maiden hurdle win. He finished second that day. The handicappers only put him up £2. And he's a lightly raced horse. I think he's just had the 3 runs over hurdles, I think, and a couple of bumpers as well. He looks to me the type of horse that will improve more than £2 in each race. And we have laid a few quid for him. We were 6-1 on Monday at the 5-day stage. We're round about 9-2 at the moment. The horse has only got 10 stone 9. He just strikes me as a horse that might just be ahead of the handicap. I say it was a big improvement, that Newbury run to the Weatherby run. So maybe he can take a few more strides forward, and he might just be the best handicapped horse in that race at Haydock on the 2:35 Saturday.
Thanks, Pat. Ed, any horses you're excited to see?
Yeah, I think we've covered
weekend?
a lot of them, haven't we? Good action at Windsor. That Fleur de Lis chase would be informative. Obviously, Il était temps, John Bon, part 16, be one to keep an eye on. But we had Pat was due to make his way to Warwick, wasn't he, last week, and it was called off. They have managed to salvage the Hampton Novices, so just my eye catcher one to keep an eye on is Lawrence Bay, who's going to run again. And I repeat, needs to run to be qualified for the National Hunt Chase for Jamie Snowden. So just keep that one in your tracker. But in terms of a selection, I've gone a little bit rogue here. I've gone to the last race at Windsor on Friday. The horse in here, it's not been a great time for Paul Nicholls for one reason or another, but he's got Tamuras. He's got blinkers on for the first time. You go back once upon a time, they thought this horse was a bit of the second coming in the yard, wasn't he? He won the old the Tolworth Hurdle as it was then. And, but he never really quite took off. And recently, he's been deplorable. The flip side, he drops down into a Class 3 for the first time in donkey's years. He's to a BHA rating of 130. And there's Freddie Keithley booked to ride, claiming 7. He's off 123 here. It's almost like he's running free for a Grade 1 winner. If he can't show anything now, I don't think he's ever going to show anything, put it that way. And also noticed the twofold blinkers go on for the first time. When he had cheap pieces go on for the first time, he went and won at Aintree. They switched the headgear, blinkers go on for the first time. And all his best forms come on on flat tracks or cutting the ground. So if he's ever going to show anything on the back of 4 pulled-up efforts, I think it's now. I find it interesting more than anything, the fact they're persevering with him. He's clearly showing enough for them to keep going. And I said off these marks, he's officially £7 lower than when winning at Aintree on Boxing Day a couple of seasons ago. You say if you factor in Freddie Keithley's claim, £7, he's going to be running free. But anyway, so Tamuras is going to be the left of field play in the last at Windsor on Friday.
So win or bust for Tamuras at Windsor. Gary, what are you looking forward to this weekend?
I've got to put up a couple now. I've actually backed these myself yesterday when I was just having a look at the antepost. 2 in Windsor on Friday. Lightning Novice Chase, 150, I like Hansard, 9-2. And the 3 o'clock, I like Alto Belly at 7-1. So hopefully that starts the weekend on the right foot. And then I'll swing over the Haydock on Saturday. Peter Marsh, Johnny Hugh, 4-1. I think he wins. And we'll swing for the fences in the 235 Kintara, 16-1. To pay for the champagne on Saturday night. They're the 4 for me.
If you had to pick one, what would be your best bet and why?
Alta Belly 7-1, I think, on Friday. I just think that price is just much too big, and I think there's a big race in him, and everything's primed for a massive run, and 7-1 is good value on him. So that'll be the best out of 4, I think.
So there you go. Plenty of horses to look forward to at the weekend. That's it for Not Long Now in association with Bet365, the home of the position payout. My thanks to Ed Quigley, Gary Connolly and Pat Cooney. Thanks for your company. I'm Rory Jiwani. We'll be back next week to look forward to more races at the 2026 Cheltenham Festival. Good luck with your bets and see you soon.
Relentless, remorseless.